Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast. This is episode 101, titled The False Start, because I think that is a great title for what happened in Leon in their jornada match versus Xolos. So we're here on a Monday Night Football to recap everything that happened in the last weekend's jornada. Also with Leon's preview midweek versus Atlas for their Jornada 1 program. So we'll have lots to talk about today. If you're joining us via YouTube and Periscope on Twitter, let us know what your thoughts are. If you agree, you disagree, anything you want to talk about, let us know in the comments, and we'll definitely post them on the screen to have a good conversation going. But yeah, so thank you for joining us. Carlos and Louis, gentlemen, how are we feeling tonight? Monday Night Football after what happened this weekend?
Disappointed, of course.
Very.
I think the team had everything they needed to get the full 3 points out of that match, and they didn't do it. But have to put things into perspective. No preseason, very, very difficult pitch in general. Difficult, probably the most difficult to start a season when you're already on heavy legs, and it takes twice as many passes to generate any sort of play on that turf. Balls that normally go out of bounds on any other pitch stay in, and plays stay live a lot longer. It's just a lot more work to play there. And when it's your first match, when you already are basically running on fumes still from the no lack of preseason, the late end of the last season, I think we have to kind of put things into perspective and kind of settle for the solitary point that we got on the road to start the season.
Yeah, very bad start. Obviously not the start we wanted. A lot of these guys look like they weren't ready. It was basically our first preseason game. We didn't even have a preseason. But it's okay. I think getting out of there with 1 point was good. It wasn't what we expected. It wasn't what we wanted, but I think being on the road and getting a point after not having a preseason, not having our legs, not being in shape, not being ready, basically, and having 3 big absences out of the lineup, I think is acceptable. But I think we have a lot to work on, and we have a game this week, so we better work on it very quickly.
Two games this week.
Wednesday and Saturday or Sunday?
Yes. Saturday.
Yeah. 2 games. Got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I think we got to take a page. Sometimes we rag on our players for thinking that just going out and suiting up, they're going to get the job done. And I think sometimes we're a little bit guilty of that too. That I think we got the better squad. They should be fired up. They might get a little tired legs in the second half, but they have all the tools on their workbench to get this done, and they're just going to go out and do it. So you'll see. I feel like sometimes we're a little bit guilty of that too, as much as they are. So, and honestly, neither players nor coaching staff seemed that alarmed or surprised or upset by this. I think they were just happy to get the result on the road to start out, and so I'm trying to be that way too.
My comment: it could have been worse. Could have been worse. And I think I was just like, oh gosh, like, I think a point was rescuable, and that wasn't really on our part. I mean, it was just, sometimes football is a game of luck, like I best learned, and it was just, lucky that we didn't concede more than just that goal. But Louis, how fan base Leon in Tijuana? Was there a lot of people, not a lot of people, or what was the?
There was a healthy number of people. Los Locos de Arriba made themselves present, and I decided to follow up my recent performance at the Estadio Jalisco. I decided to join them in the visiting fans section for this game, which I don't normally do, but it was the only place we could really get together and get some cheering going. It was a very, very sparsely attended match, as I think we mentioned in the previous show. Availability was technically only for Xolo pass holders, Xolo season ticket holders. There were a number of Xolo passes rented on various social media and pages, and where there were ways to get in for those who were resourceful enough to find them. And there were quite a number of Leon fans there. Aside from the traveling porra, lots of people always attend games in Tijuana. Fans of every team who live in the Southern California area and northern Mexico, northwestern Mexico, like you, Carlos, have done on numerous occasions. There are always a lot of people who come down from California, and this was no exception. Lots of people found their way in, and I would say we did have a healthy contingent. As sparsely attended as the match was in general, I feel like Leon had a pretty good representation of fans there.
Definitely. Carlos, do you by any chance have the starting lineup?
Yeah. Starting lineup. Are you going to roll the clip or do I just...
Yes. Oh, sorry. I was looking at something. Let's roll the clip to know what the pregame looked like.
Quick pregame news for anyone who might have missed the last episode or who hasn't been keeping up with the offseason team news. The club did sign Uruguayan winger Federico Martinez in the offseason. He was out for this first game with COVID, along with Omar Fernandez, which is also a topic that I brought up in the pregame news. Also, Tldp, Ramiro Gonzalez, and Fernando Navarro, all out of the club. For anyone that wasn't following the club in the offseason, that was my team news. One thing that I forgot to mention was John Meneses also was suspended for 2 games, including our first game, and he will be out for the next game. So, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very noticeable, I should say, to not have both Meneses and Omar available. That really, and Fede. I mean, who knows how Fede would have done it if he had debuted, having never played a match for Leon before. But having those 3 guys out really kind of, it left our attack hanging. They struggled to generate concrete and dangerous opportunities going forward consistently throughout the match. And that combined with a shaky defense, shaky back line in which Rodolfo Cota was again the man of the match, like he has been so many times, made for a kind of a stressful viewing experience, especially in the second half. But yeah, those 3 absences in the attack, I mean, could deal with one for sure. 2 is already a little bit dicey, and having all 3 of those guys out, and it basically forces you to start Elias and Montes, who are both probably wouldn't figure in as starters, and definitely not play like big minutes, starters minutes. Especially Elias coming back from an injury that kept him out of action most of the end of the season, Liguilla, all of that, and having to come in and start. He wasn't sharp. Montes wasn't sharp. And then having those options missing in the front, having Omar missing. I mean, he doesn't get the love, but he's extremely important.
Yeah, he doesn't get the love. That's a good way to put it. He doesn't get the love as much as we, love him and we love that offensive side of him. We, like I think we mentioned last time that he has not played a full 90. He always gets subbed out, right?
Yeah, he hasn't gotten the love from those who. From the only people who really matter that are giving it to him, or not, the coach, which is the coaching staff. They don't seem to trust him to play 90 minutes. But man, is it noticeable when he's not there. And Meneses too. I mean, Meneses is, he has a penchant for inconsistency. But man, when he's on, he makes such a difference. And he wasn't there. And our attack was a little bit anemic without those guys. Clearly, Angel Mena wasn't wasn't quite ready. He was pretty much invisible the entire game. I mean,
we had to sub in
Davila
Jorge
was,
Diaz Price.
yeah.
Which his return was questionable, right? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
we ever saw that he would be coming back at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Davila was the closest to on form in terms of the attacking players, but then he had to get subbed off with an injury, which appears not to be serious. Same goes for Barreiro's injury, which is far more troubling and concerning. But he seemed to be just fine training alongside his teammates in the photos that were taken in the Esmeralda. So I'm hoping he'll be fine. But yeah, the attack just didn't really. They didn't really have it. They weren't ready. Nobody was really ready except for Cota.
Yeah, other than the first goal by Davila, other than that play, I don't remember any other play that stands out. Like, that's how dry our attack was. And I was hoping to see maybe Elias Hernandez sub in, or someone else to provide a spark besides Diaz Price, but I guess he was the only option off the bench. I guess we
Yeah, well, I mean, Ormeño did come in, and to his credit, I thought he looked good, but he needs more minutes than he's been getting in order to be effective.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're putting him in an impossible position. Like, you're asking him to come in and be a star, be a dude in only 10 minutes, and if he isn't, then he's not going to get anything more than that in the next game either. That's just not a way to use a refuerzo like that. You got to let him go, and you got to let him make mistakes, and you got to let him not necessarily be brilliant. I mean, at this point, you got to let him get rhythm. I thought he was kind of a bright spot for me in that second half, him coming in and looking dangerous. It just wasn't enough time to do anything. But yeah.
And I think I'm still going to question it. When is his time then? When is his time? We saw obviously Omar Fer has been getting time, not completely the full 90, but I mean, we love to see him on the field. And I think Ormeño, I don't know if he's meeting Olan, fully. I mean, it's hard to replace, it's hard to, if you're saying Davila, who's been in, modificado 9 to Santi, I mean,
it's hard to bench Davila. I mean, that's a player he's come through. I mean, he's showed up with goals. He was our leading scorer last season, and I mean, to bench him over Ormeño, it seems
questionable.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Ormeño should be the starter because he's a natural 9, but Davila has just been killing it, and there's no reason to bench him if he's doing great and he's providing results and he's scoring goals like he did. Yeah. Why would you ever bench him? Yeah.
There needs to be a way for them to play together. Of any two forwards who you think could potentially complement one another, I think those two really could if they could figure out a way to do it.
I mean, that's always been questioned in Leon, right? That Leon usually plays with a matador, not really accustomed to playing with 2 9s per se.
But Davila isn't. You're never going to convince me that he's a true 9. He just isn't.
He's not a true 9. He's a false 9. But if he's scoring, how are you going to bench him?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you should bench him. I'm saying you should play the two of them together. Find a way to play the two of them together.
Then who do you take out then? If you want to play both of them together, ¿a quién sacas para jugar Ormeño?
Well, I mean, it depends on who you consider to be titulares indiscutibles, because that's kind of that's still a little bit up in the air.
Well, let's go over the starting lineup because I have a comment about one of our players. Rodolfo Cota obviously started. Avion Ramirez, Barreiro, Tecillo, Osvi, Jefecito, Colombato, Angel Mena, Elias Hernandez, Davila, and Luis Montes, who I want to talk about. You talk about titulares indiscutibles, and I'm like, I don't know if Montes is a titular indiscutible anymore. We didn't have Omar Fernandez available, but if we did, I would have benched Montes because he does not look ready. He does not look in rhythm. He keeps losing balls. A lot of the counterattacks where we almost got scored on were because he lost the ball in important areas of the pitch. So, yeah, I mean, titulares indiscutibles, I would probably bench Montes at this point because he's just not ready, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it seems blasphemous to say that, right? Because we wouldn't have said that 2 seasons ago, or 3 seasons ago, when he had that MVP season, and he was the MVP of the league. But I mean, ever since last season with those injuries, his form has just declined, and I think it's time we should accept that.
Yeah, I mean, of those who started against Xolos, he probably would have been the first I'd have pinched in favor of moving Davila a little bit farther back and putting Ormeño up top. Either Montes or Elias. It's just so hard. We didn't have anyone to play on the left, so we didn't have any choice really but to start Elias as an inverted winger, which in the past, and if he's fully fit, I fully trust him to do. But I don't think he was fully fit, and Montes is another left-footed player. When you're struggling to find left-footed players, I can understand him starting too, but I don't know. It just wasn't. It looked like it was maybe going to work for a little bit, and then the second half, it was a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I think we've definitely established that Cota had he was MVP. I don't know. I feel like for me, based off of the last couple of games, the last season of Montes, subbing in, not looking good at all. I think this game he looked better than he did in the previous past couple of games. So I give him that. I mean, his vision is something it's not that easy to come by. But I mean, you put who's best at that moment. You know what I mean? And obviously Marfed was out for COVID, and I honestly feel like if he was fit, Montes would have been
Yeah. And something interesting I saw during the weekend was that one of our players who left, who also wasn't getting minutes, Fernando Navarro, is not getting minutes at Pachuca either. So what's the reason he left?
For a couple.
He would have. I think if he would have stayed, he would have played this game. Because for sure, he would have played this game. So he left because he wants more minutes, but he has the minutes here when we're shorthanded. So I don't know. Maybe there's something else that we don't know.
Maybe there's something else.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he was mentally checked out from the organization more than anything else. Like, it's not even necessarily so much about the minutes. It's about he was mentally checked out. Yeah, he was personally, mentally checked out from our club and wanted to make a statement by leaving, and so he did.
Yeah, definitely.
And best of luck to him, but not on Saturday.
Shout out to Raul Guerrero saying, yo, Happy New Year. Also, we'll definitely talk about it after we talk about the jornada rundown. And today they got a new defense, so we'll definitely dig into that. Gustavo Aranda said, I thought Ormeño was going to be a beast in Leon. He was the heart and soul for a Puebla team. That was exciting. Curious to know what your guys' thoughts are about him. Like we've mentioned him many times before, I feel like he's lacking full minutes. We get snippets of him here and there, but not really at least give him 6-7 starts, consistently to see what that looks like. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything else.
He's for whatever reason for Holland the only one who doesn't get a chance to fail. You have to give these guys a chance to fail. Like, how many chances to fail did Gigliotti get? Like, you have to give these guys a chance to fail if you ever want to see them succeed. And Ormeño, I feel like, is the only one who hasn't gotten that. And until he does, it's going to be hard for him to fit in. I still think this is his season. I think he's gonna work his way in. He has to. If he doesn't do it this season, he's probably gone. There's no reason to keep him if a player like that, if you're not going to use him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good thing is that it's a long season. And last season he did get minutes in Leagues Cup. So this season we have the CCL, and hopefully he gets minutes there. Or maybe if Holland is smart and he wants to go after CCL, he'll play Davila there and give Ormeño more minutes in league. But for sure, he's going to get more minutes because obviously Giglioti's out. So the competition is shortened. It's cut by one man. So I think our third striker would probably be like Armando Leon at this point.
Who was in the stands watching in the same area I was, Estadio Caliente. Yeah,
sweet.
With the rest of the sub-20. Yeah. It's just he needs a chance to just go out there and feel like nobody's looking over his shoulder. Like the first mistake he makes, he's going to get subbed off. That's what he needs. But I could see him, I think you're right, Carlos, with the two tournaments. For example, I could see him starting against a team like Guastatoya, who can't mark him probably, and like scoring a hat trick and filling with confidence from that. I could see something like that easily happening.
Yeah, I think he needs minutes, but I think more importantly than minutes, he needs a goal. He needs a goal because that's a confidence builder. And I mean, who knows? After scoring a goal, maybe he can take off and score more goals.
When that's what you're brought in to do, doing that can work wonders for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's talk about. Look, I told you Ahid Buron. I don't care if you say he subbed in at he got trash minutes, but hey, he made his way in and he had the 100% accuracy because he won a ground duel, so I'll give him that. Anything else, guys, to mention of the Xolos game before we move on?
No, it's just.
I mean, we can't really take much from it, right? It was just
the worst is when it's the way it started out. After we got that first goal, I was like, this is going to be a relatively straightforward 2-0 win. That's what it was looking like.
Yeah.
And it went from that to praying to the football gods, to the VAR gods, to take away that PK at the end and salvage a point. That when you start off winning and really looking like the better team, they did for most of the first half. To go from that to what it ended up being, it's the formas. It's not all 1-1 draws on the road are created equal. Yeah. We started winning and then had to salvage the result. That's what, if we had supposedly been the other way around, they take an early lead and we get the result at the end. Same result, same point, but that is just a completely different psychological experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were lucky not to lose by more than. I mean, I'm sorry. We're lucky not to have conceded more than one, like Gadi said, and lucky not to have lost because that was easily a losable game. We should have lost.
We should have lost, and I tweeted it we should have lost. This could have been, way worse. I was lucky that we actually tied.
So hopefully they can shake this off because they don't have a lot of time before the big final rematch with Atlas at home, which there's no such thing as a must win in a regular season, especially in Liga MX, which is so forgiving in terms of table position and all that. But this is about as close to must win as it gets.
Yes, definitely. We need a redemption this Wednesday. Shout out to Sanaku, always jumping into the conversation. He asked, does Olan expect high expectations from everyone? He said, does he expect Ormeño to score when he subs in? Of course, he is a striker and all, but I'm sure there's more to it.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're going to be judged by the number of goals you score. How many times did we talk about Nick Gillard coming in and running forever and always being, doing the little things, but he never scored, right? And that ultimately that was
That was the end of the
what
road
he
for
was
him.
judged. Yeah, it was the end of the road for him because that was the number, that was the stat he was judged on. So I think it's the same thing with Ormeño. Like, he was brought in to score, he was brought in to be that killer that we needed, and he hasn't lived up to it. So there might be more to it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, he clearly doesn't think he brings many other qualities that a striker might to the table. Maybe in a way that he thought Gigliotti did, like hold up play or just out muscling people on set pieces. Like Gigliotti is a big dude. You know, he's old and slow and also didn't score as a target striker, but he's big and strong and can beat people to some balls on set pieces. I just think that maybe Holland doesn't see those kind of qualities in Ormeño at all. And so unless he's coming in and scoring, poaching more accurately, then he doesn't see any use for him, which I don't agree, but I'm not the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, let's move on to the jornada rundown, as there was also other games going on for the actual jornadas while we did our we still have our jornada 1 to go through. So Querétaro losing 3-1 to Pumas. That was a Friday night game. Monterrey massacre 4-0 at Necaxa. I mean, that game was just over when it was over at 2-0, I think, for me. If anybody watched that game.
I didn't.
Yeah, I watched it. It was 3-0 at the half. I'm like, yeah, this is done.
This is done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the Pumas Querétaro?
I didn't.
I don't remember. I think I might have catched a bit of it.
That was interesting. Mosa got red carded. Go ahead.
Yeah, Pumas. They're probably gonna, the Pumas fans are all gonna say, "Oh, this is one of those seasons, where they're and then because they're starting off super hot and 6 points out of 6 with a bare bones roster and Lilini's still there, but yeah, got to remember it's just Querétaro.
Leave Lilini alone, okay? I'm all for him. Atlas beating San Luis 1-0. Puebla
on an own goal. Yeah.
Yes. Puebla beating
at home after being champions, and the stadium was practically empty.
At home.
Yeah.
Yes, that was an own goal at home. Puebla beating Tigres 2-0, which is very nice to watch. Let's see, Cruz Azul beating Juarez 1-0. I did not watch that. Obviously, the Leon game was going on at the same time, which they drew and won, as we talked about. Toluca de Nacho Ambriz con la remontada. Did you guys watch that game against Santos, Toluca Santos?
I missed it.
I saw the highlights. There was one golazo de volea that I watched, but I had to watch the highlights after that.
Yeah, so Santos up 1-0. Then La Remontada ended up in 3-1. Leo Fernandez ended up scoring, which his return to Luca, I think, was a much better fit. So, yeah. I mean, I think every time, so far from the first game and the second game, a lot of the commentaries are putting a lot of pressure on Nacho Ambriz. So I'm like, just give him time, guys. Like, just give him time. And obviously Pachuca beating Chivas 2-1. Yeah, Chivas had an awful game, especially Gudiño, which we have to mention.
Well, when you have an awful team, you can expect a lot of awful results.
So that was the Jornada 2 rundown. Moving along to the other topics that we're talk about first. We want to wish Santiago Colombato happy birthday, because it is his birthday today, 1/17. So hope he has a good day. But yeah, there's our shout out to Colom Baby, which that's what, that's how we refer to him, the cariño. Then let's go ahead and talk about the news today on Twitter about Leon acquiring a center back. How do you say his last name? First name, Gary. How do you say his last name?
It is, hold on a second.
Kagelmacher?
Kagelmacher.
I probably just butchered that.
I was going to say
It might be It might be Kagelmacher.
Yeah.
If he pronounces it like it would be in German or whatever, then it would Kagelmacher.
But he's from Uruguay.
He's
right?
Uruguayan. Yeah.
Yeah. Kagelmacher, tal vez.
Maybe como Shishan, right?
You know, like Mascherano.
Yeah.
No, but this is just CH, not SCH.
Pero
Yeah.
los uruguayos Shishan.
Shishan.
Yeah, but not with the
Yeah, they
CH.
do.
Not with a CH though, with a double L. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, apparently, that in his words, que es un mercado lindo y un desafío nuevo, that it was pretty quick, and reports saying that he reports to Leon on Wednesday. Now, in age, he's 33, turning 34 this year. I don't want to be, a pessimist, but I don't feel like this is going to go well. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, come on. Don't be a negative Nancy.
He's 33
That's right.
as a center back. I mean, is this what we really...
He's actually equal, just as much a right back as he's a center back. Doing research about him, he's just as comfortable playing on the right, and he's actually, despite his age, watching highlights just from his most recent season, he's fast.
Yeah.
He has quite a bit of pace for someone who may be asked to play center back. Nothing like Ramiro. Like Ramiro was an important player for us, technical, a good presence in the box, but the dude is slow. That is not going to be the issue with Kagelmacher, judging by recent highlights. I mean, highlights in general can be misleading, but not about speed, not about pace. Like a guy is faster, he isn't, and the guy gets around the field, and he's a threat in both boxes. He's got touch on goal too. So I'm choosing to be cautiously optimistic. My thing is, I mean, when is he gonna? If he reports on Wednesday, when the earliest he could probably play would be what? Jornada? No, probably I would say jornada 5 against cuatro against Cruz Azul. That would be my guess. Like the earliest he could possibly play.
Mhm.
And even then, like it's going to take him a while to get settled in and get it and adapt to the system and all that. That's my biggest concern. Not the skills. I think the skills are there, and the speed is definitely there. This is a kind of defender we haven't really.
Oh no,
Uh-oh. Did we lose Louis?
Louis, you're frozen.
Anyways, I was going to say... Oh, there he is. Louis,
Sorry.
we lost you at like... I don't know what you were saying, but go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying... This is an intriguing signing. We don't bring in defenders like this. We bring in South American defenders. They're usually big and burly and slow. Yeah, I'm not counting guys like Jairo, because Jairo wasn't a defender when he got here. He was converted into one, and still, I mean, he isn't really an outside back. He's another winger that plays farther back. That's what he is. But this is a true defender with pace, with skill. A threat on set pieces, a threat in the area, and seemingly with good defensive qualities. So I'm thinking this could end up being a good signing for us.
I think so too. I'm optimistic about this because the team he's coming from, Peñarol, from Uruguay, they're first place in the first division. So he's not coming from like a mid-table, lower-table team. He's coming from the top team. It's like a European team coming over and signing a player from like America or Cruz Azul, or one of the grandes, or one of the leaders in the table.
Also, I mean, this is not another Nick Keeler. This guy has trayectoria. Like if you look at the teams he's played for and leagues he's been in, the dude suited up. The dude played for Real Madrid. One match for Real Madrid's first team. I mean, it was years ago, whatever. But like the guy has trayectoria. This is not Nick Killer. This is not even another like. We could either get a Guillermo Bordizo or we could get a Jonathan Bottinelli. I think this is closer to a Bordizo type.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he also adds height to our offensive attack because he's like 6'2" or something like that. So he's also going to be one of those in set pieces. He's going to be very important. He's going to be one of the aerial attacks that we can use. We are a very short team. I think they were really calling that out on the ESPN broadcast on Saturday.
Yes, I had
Right?
doubts on
Yeah.
how tall Chapito and Meneses. Meneses is shorter because I was like, am I the same as one of them? But I'm 5'3", Meneses is 5'4", and Chapito's 5'5". So we could be like
Yeah. So yeah, this guy, Gabriel Mached, he adds height, obviously. So it's a much better aerial attack that we're going to have. And he also adds competition. So defenders like, Barreiro, Mosquera, even Tecillo, or whoever's out playing right back, Avion Ramirez in this case, they now have competition that where if they don't have a good game or if they slack off, they're on the bench, bro, and we got another guy coming in.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we need depth there. We lost Ramiro and we didn't get anybody to replace him. And playing 2 tournaments and you never know, like Barreiro went out and got hurt in the very first game. It looks like fortunately it's not serious, but like you got to be prepared for that. So having that extra depth I think is good.
We still have, Federico, to come in and, settle in with the team. Now we have a new guy. So it could be, I think I'm interested to see how we kind of adjust to those new signings and what that looks like. I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just like, it came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So it kind of threw me off, like very questionable. Like, okay, so what is our expectations? Obviously there's been signings that have worked out, greatly and others that haven't. So I think for coming out of the blue, it kind of threw me off. So, I could be wrong. I'm not being, I hope he does well. I hope it's what we need. Like you guys mentioned, the depth that we need definitely on our bench. I'm hoping that he definitely comes and adds to this team. So I guess we'll see when he's ready. So shout out to Heriberto, which is my cousin who is from Leon. He's watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Saludos, Heriberto.
And Senaku asks, so does this mean the Byron Castillo ship has sailed?
Probably.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Paco Vela interviewed Jesus Martinez, and I think it's on his Twitter if you guys go check it out. He asks him the question directly, like, what's the latest on Byron Castillo? And he just said, you know what, it's difficult. It's not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. But obviously check out Paco Vela's Twitter for that interview.
Yeah, I have kind of I don't know, it might be an unpopular opinion about that interview. The interview that Jesus Martinez gave, in which he stated that when asked about refuerzos, that our refuerzo this season is La Esmeralda. And I'm like, even if that's your stance, you shouldn't go on record saying that to the afición who are clamoring, who see the opportunity that we have to make a serious run in Conca Champions and in Liga, the opportunity that we have with this team, a window that's not going to be open forever. And what you're basically saying is we're not bringing anybody good. Your refuerzo is La Esmeralda, like sort of like getting defensive about it. Like, don't you see this big, beautiful building we just built you? Like, that's not good enough for you? I'm like, bro, you still have to find a way to deepen the roster for this run. I don't care. Like the Esmeralda is great. It might be the best they might be the best training facilities in the league right now. But you have a responsibility that goes beyond just that, it's kind of a what have you done for me lately league, or really what have you done for me lately league, to see like the comments from our fan base after that Xolos game and about Holland, like fuera Holland. You realize Holland took us to Holland had the opportunity to take us to 2 finals in his first semester, and he took us to both of them. Like, bro,
Breathe, Louis, breathe.
like you're the owner of the team. Like, I get that position, I get that stance. La Esmeralda is wonderful. La Esmeralda is going to mean great things for the organization and the club moving forward. I mean, it basically puts an end to like any sort of speculation that this franchise isn't for the city of León forever. Like at some points in its history, there were doubts about that, and he basically gave the fan base the gift of maybe, possibly, probably never having to worry about that ever again. But you still got to bring players in for a run, bro. You're the owner of the team. You know, like, I don't know. So I thought it was a weird way to approach being asked about refuerzos. Your refuerzo es La Esmeralda. No, that cannot be our refuerzo. Our refuerzo needs to be a refuerzo. You know? Yeah. So that was just my little aside about that interview that Paco Vela did with Jesus Martinez.
Yeah, and even if it's not true, like, at least be politically correct and say, you know what, we have our eye on some guys out there, but may or may not happen. I mean, at least give some promising news, even if it's not true,
Yeah.
Something
along those lines, rather than, like Louis said, this totally off, statement, kind of like, like we are high maintenance kids, and dad saying, well, you have a bed, so you have a roof, like, isn't that good enough for you, type of
I
thing.
like that analogy.
I think we lost Louis again. He's frozen. Hopefully on freeze. So moving along, we have Louis, you're back. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
We have Wednesday match versus Atlas. I guess in regards to, we have recovered Omar Fed, we have recovered Federico. They both tested negative for COVID. I think only one person, one player, or no, one person from Atlas, good enough if it's a player or not, tested positive. So we do have those 2 players back. In regards to a starting lineup versus Atlas, do we see Omar Fed in it? And do we see any type of peak of Federico in that game?
Oh, I think Federico will play for sure if he's available.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll start, but I think he'll play.
I think he'll play too. And I think Omar Fernandez is going to start. Because he provides something that we don't have anybody else to do, basically. I mean, I would even go as far as subbing out Chapito Montes and just having Omar Fernandez in there.
I was going to say, would that be the only, since Ozymandias is still suspended, we'll still start Elias, so just switch out Montes for Omar Fed and we're good?
Yeah, I mean, unless, like, for some reason Davila or Barreiro can't go, which I think they should be able to, because it doesn't look like they were that serious. Mm-hmm. Maybe those could be some changes too, but like I said, I don't think they're that serious. I think they should be there.
Louis, any thoughts on the starting lineup?
It's hard to know. It's because it's not just thinking about Wednesday, but also Saturday.
Yeah, so it's kind of like what players do you start? I mean,
they gotta be
like Ormeño on Wednesday, or you're.
I mean, I would love to think that Ormeño only got a few minutes against Xolos because he's big time in the plans for Atlas or for Pachuca or both. I don't know. I have no inside information regarding that, but I'd like to think that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them try and start Ormeño and Davila juntos against Atlas. Have a lot of threat, a lot of danger there up front.
Yeah. Definitely. Let's see what else. I guess anything else to comment before we go to predictions for that game? I mean, I guess just wait and see if Daddy makes it on Wednesday. And then it's a home match, correct? Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Open to the public?
Wait.
I'm asking if
Oh,
it's
you're
open to
asking?
the public. Yeah.
Yes. 70%.
Oh,
Got it. Okay.
that's a lot. I think, what game was I watching? I don't know if it was it Xolo? That was like 30% or like, I think all
That
these
was, I think that was Pachuca.
Pachuca. Yeah, it was only 30%. So I'm surprised Leon is opening 70%. Okay. So if that is all, then you guys ready to go prediction?
Sure.
Okay, let's
do it.
do it.
Prediction time!
Prediction time. So let's go ahead and give our predictions for Wednesday night's matchup versus Atlas. Obviously, we hope to get a little bit of redemption versus the other game. We're going to talk about Blacklist on this podcast, the final versus Atlas. But anyways, I digress. Louis, your prediction, sir, as you will be present.
Yeah. I think this is going to be an ugly one. I think we'd all love to see an espectáculo digno de the first game of the final against Atlas, the one that we played at home, that 3-2 game, that something like that. But I don't think it's in the cards. I think this is going to be a 1-0. I think Leon's going to win 1-0. I don't know who's going to score. I don't know if it's going to be a score early and hang on, or 0-0 all the way till the end and get a late winner. I don't know if it's going to be like that, but I think I'm thinking a 1-0. But we're gonna get the 1-0. We're gonna get a little bit of revenge, and start to feel a little bit better about ourselves.
Okay, 1-0. Okay, Carlos, your prediction, sir.
I'm going to go with a 2-1. I don't think it's going to be a spectacular game like the media is hyping it up to be, because it's the finals rematch. But I do think these guys have a chip on their shoulder just because we lost the final against them.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys want that revenge, especially Santiago Ormeño, so I'm predicting that he's going to score a doblete. But our defense is really shaky right now, so I think that we are going to let one in. So, yeah, 2-1.
2-1. Okay, 2-1. 1-0, 2-1. I'm gonna go 3-1. We're at home. Let's just be a little bit. I'm gonna sprinkle some more optimistic on that game. I think if mentally these guys definitely want a revenge. I feel like, especially being at home, hopefully they feel a little bit more empowered and maybe see more put together this time around. So I'm gonna go 3-1. I don't have anything to lose at this point, right? Senaku said, I'm with Carlos, 2-1. Okay. I went with Louis 2-1 last week, and obviously that didn't happen. So, but yeah, so that is our predictions for Wednesday. Obviously, a little bit hard to predict for Saturday, but are we still predicting Leon wins? Or are we, based off of, what kind of players Pachuca has, Almada being now?
Well, they're certainly off to a hot start.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this will be the first real opponent that they've faced. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I think, a lot of it maybe, I don't know a lot of it, but some of it could depend on how things go on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But aside from Pachuca, Pachuca specifically, I think these next 3 games, we have 3 straight home games coming up.
Yeah.
Against Atlas, Pachuca, and Cruz Azul. Atlas obviously just played; they got a win, and then Pachuca and Cruz Azul, who both won their first 2 games, are undefeated at this point. Both came out of the gates hot. This is very quietly a really, really important stretch for the team. These three straight home games. They need to get a bundle of points out of those. I would say you got to get 7 of those 9 points, or at least 6 at the very, very least, between 6 and 7 of those points. I'm not expecting a clean sweep, but you gotta get a big chunk of those points. These three big home games, and then after that, we go play Pumas for only our second road game of the season in jornada 5.
Mhm.
And then right after that is the Conca Champions. So like things are getting
They're gonna speed up after.
things are getting real really quick
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
these three home games are huge.
And in between CCL we have Chivas. So
Yeah.
So we always have Chivas in like the between like games and other jornadas. Whenever we're like playing lots of games, Chivas always is thrown in the middle of it. Like that's annoying. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just a realization.
It's the only way they can beat us.
Catch us off guard.
Yeah. So the league does it on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think Pachuca's gonna be tough. That's just I feel like it will be. I don't know. I think that game is tough, and I think the Pumas game is tough. So it is a couple of tough matches for Leon.
Well, yeah, we'll see where Pumas is by jornada 5. I don't know what their schedule's like coming up, but yeah. Oh, they play Tigres at home on Sunday. Okay.
well, I mean Tigres lost to Puebla. I
They
guess
sure
Puebla's no
did.
joke. I guess Puebla's no joke this season.
Come
We'll
on,
have
guys.
to see about them. Yeah.
But yeah, Tigres.
Get out there.
That was particularly satisfying for Tigres after they were throwing all sorts of shade to Leon about their stadium being announced.
Yes, which looks really pretty.
And ours, having been announced a long time ago, should have already been built by now. And they haven't even put la primera piedra. So there was a lot of trolling going on in that regard on Twitter. And then Tigres goes in and loses at home to Puebla.
I mean,
Lord
it was
only knows.
funny. It was funny.
Lord only knows the last time Puebla won there.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
But
yeah.
Shout out to Luis.
Yeah, shout out to Luis. Good game to watch though. I was like, because I kept laughing because they kept showing like Piojo was like, "Oh, you guys come and watch Tigres Puebla," and like all these players announcing to come and watch that game. I'm like, yeah, I will watch that game, and then they lose.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
So definitely. Next couple of games important for Leon. We'll definitely see if Gary makes it on Wednesday, how we look Wednesday going into Saturday. Like Louis said, this next couple of 3 matches at home. So definitely a lot of expectations at home to get us at a good place looking into CCL. So, gentlemen, if that is it, then we are ready to take off.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, nice to have three straight home games. That hasn't happened in a while. So as much as I love to travel, it'll be nice to just kind of stay put for a few weeks.
Yep.
Definitely much needed rest. But
yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. So shout out to Heriberto, Senaku, Gustavo, and Raul joining us in the chat. Thank you so much. Everybody that watches via Periscope as well. Don't forget to follow us on all social medias as we'll keep you updated everything that has to do with Club Leon in English. Don't forget to follow at Club Leon EN to keep you updated in case you are working, missing the game on Wednesday and Saturday. They'll keep you updated with all the live tweets during the matchup and goals, which we hope there's lots of goals. So thank you for joining us on this Monday Night Football. We hope to see you guys on the next episode of the Lions Den Podcast.